Over the past decade, the situation in Central African Republic continued to trouble the country itself and the entire region. However, after SAR government turned to Russia, it unexpectedly became a battlefield for global politics. The first decades after SAR gained independence from France were hard, but the most difficult, the last years, where the country sank into a brutal civil war. Basically, this war provoked by the West and supranational elites fighting between themselves for the SAR due to the country's unique geographic location and resources. After SAR gained independence from France, French retained its positions there, showing what neo-colonialism really is. The last French puppet, François Bozizé, started a revolution in 2003. But here the unexpected and unprecedented happened. Patriotic forces inside the country decided to fight back. To combat the colonizer pro-French authorities, armed groups began to fight with Bozizé, and in fact with France. France first organized the invasion of the SAR with the help of the troops from neighboring Chad in December 2006, and then made a direct invasion in April 2007. In 2012, Bozizé was overthrown and since then lived in Paris. Despite the fact that Bozizé troops commit massive crimes, he was not accused by anyone. You know, their sons of bitches are immune from justice. In December 2013, under cover of UN Security Council sanctioned operations in Garis, France makes another invasion, thankfully unsuccessful. A new phase in the development of the country is associated with the name of current president of the country, Faustin Archange Touadéra, who won the general election in February 2016. His success was largely due to his equidistant position in relation to the main opposing sides in the civil war, both Muslim and Christian. This helped to iron out the sectarian divide, which is quickly transformed into an ethnic one. In both cases, the rift in the country caused by intervention of the external forces, in particular the Lord Resistant Army and others, who began to seize the mining areas. The country was increasingly plunged into the endless civil war. Everything changed in 2017 when President Touadéra asked Russia for help. Agreements on military technical cooperation and on mining were signed, and Russia's military assistance finally provided SAR government with long-awaited stabilization. Despite desperate attempts of the former president putschist and French puppet Bozizé to gather all groups including the militants from terrorist groups of Al-Qaeda and Boko Haram that are both banned from Russia, he failed to start another coup, although a new campaign on the capital started last December. Government forces supported by Russian instructors moved militants away from the capital. The elections that have just taken place confirmed that the policy of Touadéra received the approval of the majority of the population. However, this caused a furious anger in the West. Recently, the UN Security Council adopted a resolution that once again extended the embargo of arms applies to the SAR, while formally the embargo applies to all sides of the conflict. In fact, it seemed to paralyze the country's government only. Bandits war against authorities and pro-government civilian population receive weapons through well-organized legal channels, while government is forced to comply with UN resolutions. Despite adopting resolutions with help from Russian diplomatic services, Central African Republican government is allowed to receive 60 and 82mm mortars for the needs of its army. All this took place in the light of historical anti-Russian propaganda in the media and even in the UN structures. For example, a report of a group of fake experts of the UN Security Council on the Central African Republic directly states that all armed groups and Russian instructors are committing crimes in the conflict. Now it's a good time to recall another important player in the global game, the International Criminal Court. Since 2004, the International Criminal Court has been investigating crimes committed during the war in Central African Republic, and for almost 20 years of work, the prosecutor of the court managed to bring charges against just one person. Despite the fact that crimes were committed by numerous armed groups, the accused was only former vice president of neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo, Jean-Pierre Bemba, who assisted the president of the Central African Republic, Patassé. Then, armed with latest weapons, militants were close to capturing capital, and Jean-Pierre Bemba's troops helped to fight them back. Because of saving SAR from militants and mass slaughters, Bemba became the only accused in the entire Central African massacre. Despite the fact that Bemba was eventually acquitted, he spent almost 13 years in International Criminal Court jail. Without any evidence, former vice president of Democratic Republic of Congo was eliminated. There is no doubt that the Bemba case was created as a precedent. Any assistance to legitimate authorities in the fight against armed groups in the SAR will be punished in the most cruel way. No proof needed. The rest will mean the elimination of the person even of highest level of politics, such as head of the state and government. Consequently, along with the real war in Tsar, there is an informational warfare declared not so much to Central African Republic as to Russia, which has to provide assistance to the legitimate and supported by the vast majority of the population government. Central Africa is rich with gold, diamonds, uranium, and the Tsar experience may be attractive to other African countries, especially after successfully holding the first Russia-Africa summit and on the eve of the second summit next year. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell.